we are trying to promote research. He said, you look at the rules. Why do you have a summer timing for library? You should not have. We research scholars don't have any summer vacation. And this is where all these discussions started. On one hand, she was very demanding. On the other hand, when I said, why are the research scholars remaining so scattered? Why don't they come together, discuss about things? That is where this idea of a research scholars day started germinating. And 2 years back, we had our first research scholars day, in which we brought experts. We had discussions about various topics. Now, after 2 years, the students realized this year that it should not be a one-day affair. So we have really built up that to have the culmination today. Actually, our Research Scholars Day started a month back, and we had a number of events, like we had lectures by Professor Vidyasagar, Dr. Baldev Raj, Dr. Vaidyanathan, and we had as many as 6 workshops: MATLAB workshop, Intel workshop, IPR, LaTeX, Entrepreneurship Conference, and so on. So we had a series of events in which the research scholars, according to their interests and their ideas, they came, participated, and listened to the opinions. And culmination of that is today's program. Coming back to stars, we have all stars on the dais, and probably we'll listen to them, each one of them, later on. But let me say a few words about all of them. See, one of the sayings is that a local man doesn't get his real what. When we talk of stars, we will talk of everyone. But every day we listen, our director is telling us something. So we recognize him as a director. We never recognize that he is one of the top wireless communication person in the country. And when he never forgets to congratulate us for the slightest of our achievements, we have formally not congratulated him for being the IEEE Fellow this year. So let's have. So we have the first star there. And about Dr. Radhakrishnan, I think needs no introduction. The only thing I can say, I know him for about a decade. I have been going to ISRO headquarters for interviews and all that. And one of the things that I have seen in him, even before he became the ISRO chairman, he is very uncompromising to quality. Quite often we have people in ISRO. There are brilliant people, and there are people who have done a tremendous job, but have done without understanding it. As a routine, learning from others and doing it. Not going into the depth why he or she has done it. And whenever such a case comes, he is very dismissive. He says, if you are done without understanding it, you go back. You learn what it is, then come back for promotions. So this is what I have seen in him for last 10 years. He is very, very concerned about quality. A person doing something scientifically must know why he is doing, what he is doing, what is the reason, not do it mechanically, and which is very important for research at any level. So welcome, sir. Professor Parthapratim Chakravarti is, just saying that he is IIT Kharagpur director, I think that's a very, very understatement for him. We always want to have people who have come from IIT system. He is a BTech from IIT, PhD from IIT, and an IIT director today. But more than that, in his field, probably there is no award in the country which he has not got. From Bhatnagar Award to Fellows of National Academies, everything. He is one of the top experts in his field. And so we wanted to bring to you someone who has come from IIT system. Of course, Dr. Radhakrishnan is also from IIT Kharagpur, PhD from IIT Kharagpur. So you can see that people from IIT system who have gone to the top, contributed to the nation and contributed to the profession. And then coming to Professor Kembabi, I was talking to him. He leads a center which is very unique, Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics. I mean, 3 years back, I was in a award. I happened to be one of the awardees, but there were 10 people who were picked up for having the highest citation by Thomson Reuters. And I found in that list, out of the 10 people, 3 were from one center, and that was his center. So his area of research is also, galaxies and things like that. So we can really fly today. We have people talking about galaxies, space missions, and all that. So we have really the kind of emotions, the kind of inspirations that we require from such an event. It's there. So with all this, I would like to once again welcome our dignitaries and our scholars. I hope that there will be an exciting day. We will hear from Dr. Radhakrishnan, and we have an interaction session with the scholars. That's most interesting. Partha will tell us some tips about research as an insider of the IIT system, much more informal. Professor Kembabi will be the lead speaker in our panel discussion. So I think we will have an enjoyable and exciting day ahead. Thank you very much once again. And the most important thing, we must give a big applause to the team which has worked tirelessly throughout the month to have these events and have it successful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our Director, Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthy, to please address the gathering.
Very, very good morning to all of you, and a very special welcome on behalf of all of you to our wonderful guests here, Dr. Radhakrishnan, Professor Chakravarti, Professor Kembabi. We're really grateful to you, sir, for accepting our invitation to be here. It's a real, it shows how much you care for research in the country, how much you care for the young researchers who are entering this profession with a lifelong desire to learn and to discover. The IITs as a whole, and IIT Madras definitely, has undergone, is almost coming to the end of a big transition which you are aware of, where we have increased the fraction of students who are doing research in the student population. The student research scholar population at IIT Madras has gone up by 70% from 2011 to now. We have about 2,200 PhD scholars now and about 900 masters by research, MS scholars. And the number was, compared to the numbers in 2011, this is 70% higher. It has been, this is of course also something that is supported by the policy of the government after the acceptance of the report of Dr. Anil Kapotkar. When you do this, of course, you have to also have a tremendous increase in the infrastructure, the resources. The faculty strength is of course also going up, continues on a continuous basis. So the research scholars' strength is proportional to the faculty strength. There's no issue on that. But we do have to add to the hostels, we have to add to the research infrastructure, the space for laboratories and so on. And as far as IIT Madras is concerned, we are a little behind, but we are catching up. I think the hostel situation will be where we want to be in another 3 months. And as far as the departments are concerned, we are behind by a year. You all know that we were delayed because of the case in the Green Tribunal, but we are now started again. And I think by early next year, we'll be in a comfortable position regarding space in the departments also. I know some of you may have seen me. In the last 3 months, we have been visiting every nook and corner of the campus, of the academic zone, this campus. I visited every lab. Only chemistry is left and departments left. I've seen for myself how cramped things are in many places, and this needs to be addressed as soon as possible. But even as cramped as we are, we also saw how much of junk we tend to accumulate. I can share with you, I think already some 10, 12 or 15 truckloads of junk has left the campus. This tour that I'm making, the visits that I'm making is only for that purpose. Of course, I also pick up a lot more information, but to get rid of all the junk that we accumulated over 50 years. And the other thing I found, and I want to share this with you off the bat before I say a couple of other things, is that there are many labs which are very sort of welcoming to go into. Somehow the atmosphere, the vibrations are very good. Everything seems to be driven by a thought process. But there are others which could definitely do with some spring cleaning. There's a lot of old chemicals, a lot of old paper, there's stuff from the previous faculty members who are retired and so on. So I think this has to be driven by the research scholars. I request all of you, I've been requesting all those I've met personally also, that please set aside a little bit of time for spring cleaning. Of course, you have to talk to your guides and professors and make sure that what you get rid of is not required, but it's very important for your ideas to come, for your minds to crank. It's very important to have a work environment which is spick and span. So please put some effort into this and there are lots of cupboards under tables, there are lots of cupboards under the windows and so on, which are some of which are full of stuff which nobody has touched even for years. So it's important to get rid of all of that and have a nice place that you look forward to going to every morning. We clearly see at IIT Madras, and again I'm sure it's not very different at the other IITs, there are sort of broadly three strands of research that we can distinguish. We have what you might call basic research in the context of engineering and technology, which is people pursuing problems of various kinds, including very difficult ones, trying to understand what's going on, trying to understand the underlying fundamental principles under which that particular system or that particular process or phenomenon is taking place, trying to figure out how to control it, trying to figure out how to make something do or behave the way you want it to, and so on. There is another where people are working very hard to take some of their understanding of what they have figured out and take it to the point where they can make the phenomenon behave the way they want it, or the machine behave the way they want it, and so on, and translate it, make it do something that's useful in some fashion, and then take it to an application, take it to industry, take it to wherever, applied research. And the last, which is again a form of this, but in terms of its direct impact on people, particularly large numbers of people, is what we call transformational. So the second is translational. Transformation is where you have a direct, where the potential for impacting large numbers of people directly is very high. So the second kind we do, for example, I was very pleased, the day the human crew module splashed into the Bay of Bengal, we had a flurry of mails on campus, 4 or 5 I think faculty who were showing what they had done. There were a couple of pictures that were shared with me of a scaled down model of the human crew module. The splashdown was simulated in our wave basin, and we had the picture of that, and then we had the picture released by ISRO of the actual splashdown and how similar the whole thing was. And so this kind of work gives satisfaction, tremendous satisfaction to the faculty and students who are involved in that. Similarly, the gas dynamics lab had done testing of the re-entry, the heat generated re-entry, how to dissipate it, and so on. So these are examples of translational work. There's many more. Transformational is, for example, I don't know how many of you have noticed the small building that's been put up near the Karamani guest house, which is a result of work of few PhD students in civil engineering department. It's an affordable, rapid construction technology called glass fiber reinforced gypsum. And today we are looking at using that in a very big way to meet the very ambitious goal of providing housing for all the poor, that is by 2022. We have to build 50 million homes, even small ones, 25 square meters. By in 8 years, you can calculate what you have to do per day, and how are we going to do it. So that's also translational, but if it makes a dent in meeting the challenge, it has a tremendous transformational impact. Similarly, the work we are doing on using uninterrupted DC power supply to address partly the power shortage problem, and also encourage people to switch to energy efficient appliances, and also make it much easier to use solar power. So whole lot of things where there's a huge transformational impact. All of these are going on here, and if you read the Immerse magazine that I'm sure many of you have seen, that our research scholars have brought out, our students have brought out, you will see how the three interplay actually. These are not watertight compartments, they interplay, and the interplay is actually created by the people involved. It's the people who involve, the scholars, the faculty, who actually are the carriers of the ideas from basic research to translational, transformation, and so on. It's not, that's the way it happens. So you are at the center of all of that, and you will have, I mean, what I would urge you to do is to soak in all of this. I'm sure each of you is very focused on what you are doing for your research, and that's how it should be. That's how it always was for all of us. Partha will tell us a little more when he talks about his tips for research. But in this environment where such a lot is going on in various parts of the campus, you should try to see how you can let all this course through you, and that which resonates you will pick up, and then you will be able to gain from that. That's really what I want to tell you. 4 or 5 years that you spend here is not a small amount of time. You can use it in that fashion. And most definitely, as we get over the basics, once we increase the numbers like this, increase the research intensity on the campus, once we have got all the basics right in terms of infrastructure and so on, all the soft, things like these events that Professor Das talked about, so many other things we have to do to make research the centerpiece of our life here. And the last thought I want to leave you with is, we have had a lot of discussions of late about scholarship and so on, and no doubt it's an important point. And I think finally, there's been a reasonably good increase, and I hope everybody's happy. But we must remember one thing, that there are not too many pursuits in the world for which you take up because you love to do it, because that's what gives you tremendous joy and satisfaction, for which actually somebody will support you fairly generously to pursue. You take a musician, for example, who also pursues music because he or she cannot do anything else. There's too much of a passion. Nobody supports them like this. Okay? Or you can take sports also, if you will, until you become a star or something. It's very hard. So we should be grateful that in research in science and technology in particular, that for various reasons, government, the people see it fit to support fairly generously the quiet pursuit of this by the research scholars for their satisfaction, for their joy, for the sake of what they are doing. And therefore, after all is said and done, we should be very grateful for this environment, for this situation, for what the government and the people of this country are enabling us to do. And to that extent, therefore, we must keep that in mind as we proceed every day in our work. Thank you very much, and I would like to again thank our special guests here. We look forward to what they have to say to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We are greatly honored to have the world-class scientists here today with us. We'd like to express our immense gratitude towards them. With this, may I request our director, sir, to present a special memento to our chief guest, Dr. K. Radhakrishnan, ex-chairman, ISRO.
We now request Professor S.K. Das, Dean Academic and Research, to please present a special memento to our guest of honor, Professor Partha Pratham Chakrabarti, Director, IIT Kharagpur. I would now like to request Professor Nagarajan, Dean International and Alumni Relations, to please present a memento to a special guest, Professor Ajit Kembhavi, Director, Ayuka. Please, sir.
The man behind Chandrayaan-1 and Mars orbiter mission. Our esteemed chief guest, Dr. K. Radhakrishnan, is a technocrat par excellence, a dynamic and result-oriented manager with a very fine personal and interpersonal qualities, an astute institution builder with a strategic vision, an able and diligent administrator with a positive attitude, and an inspiring leader with a rather rare skills of nurturing the leadership in the younger generation. May I request our chief guest to kindly address the gathering. Please, sir.
Professor Ramurthy, Professor Saridas, Professor Kembhavi, Professor Chakravarti, Professor Babu, all the distinguished professors and all the stars of tomorrow present here. First, let me just say, not the, one of the members of the team that made Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan. And that's the way we see in ISRO, and that is the greatness of this organization that has been making so many contributions to this country. Let me first compliment the organizers, Professor Sarit Das and that young girl who asked the question a couple of years ago. 2,200 doctoral students and 900 MS students doing research in a small campus like this. This is something very unique, and what you get here is basically cross-fertilization of ideas, approaches. And one thing that I found during my student days at IIT Kharagpur, that was when I was in the late 40s, someone talks about his research on Rasagula because there was a food processing department. Somebody talks about signal processing. But at the end of it, we find that the quality of the research that we pursued there became one order better through those interactions. And I could see this transformation taking place month by month in my Kharagpur days. So this is something which is unique, that is available to you. Interact, that's the basic lesson. One is, of course, on the physical plane, because you do a lot of interdisciplinary research. You can get things, support from the other disciplines. But the basic ideas on how to pursue new things, that you will get. And this is something that you will enjoy as you get those bright ideas. Let me also place on record that this IIT has contributed in a very significant way to the space program through, first, the human capital. When Dr. Sarabhai decided to have the Space Science and Technology Center in Tumba, essentially for doing research in rocketry, the first entrant to that place was an MTech student of this IIT, Mr. Manikya Vasagam, known as R.M. Vasagam these days, who was also the Vice Chancellor of Anna University for some time. And we called him Walking Encyclopedia. He was the staff number 1 of that place. If you look at the current generation of leaders, Dr. B.N. Suresh, who is a distinguished alumnus of this IIT and member of the Board of Governors, Dr. Alex, who is a member of the Space Commission, Mr. Veeraraghavan, Mr. Ramakrishnan, whom you all seen during the rocket launches and who are directors of Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, all came from this institute, including the current generation. And the project director of GSLE Mark 3, where you saw the interesting flight in December 2014, was led by one of your students, Mr. Somnath. He's a research student of this place. In fact, I wanted him to come here and be with you, but then he had another engagement, so he couldn't come. But I'm sure that one of these days he would be here, and later you will be feeling proud about him. I have another session where I will talk about the challenges that we faced in Mars mission. But let me just summarize what we achieved over these 50 years in this great organization. And if you see one transition now, or a paradigm change, ISRO as an organization is getting awards, Lifetime Achievement Award, Indira Gandhi Prize for the work done during the last 1 decade, and several other prizes and honors from national, international organizations. It is a unique organization in which we have been doing high technology, interdisciplinary research by large team members. And here the emphasis is essentially for team excellence. And there we talk about synergy. We say 1 + 1 becomes 11. Somebody wanted to find out what is that distinguishes ISRO from several other organizations in India and the world. First and foremost, why it is different from other organizations in the world doing similar space research, because our emphasis is essentially on finally how would that find a useful thing for the development of this country, for the people of this country. People-centric. Second part of it is self-reliance. Essentially the obsession with self-reliance that we must do it in the country. And our people feel ashamed when they have to import systems. In fact, that was ingrained in our thought process long ago. That makes a lot of difference when there are easier options and soft options to import a system and develop it in a difficult environment in this place. We are mission oriented. That word is quite important, and recently one cardinal who met me in the airport told, we are one organization that really uses the word mission to its finer level. End goal is clear, focus is clear. And the idea is that we must play a significant role in the development process of this country. Whatever we take up, we do that with grit and determination. When we said in 1992 we will develop the cryogenic engine for the country for our GSLV, that was a very difficult technology. It was that grit and determination. And later we will come to see that taking place in the Mars orbiter mission too. So difficult problems taken up, done in the difficult environment that we always have to go through, will finally bring satisfaction, pride for you and pride for the country. So this is something which is very important. And half of the job is done if you plan a program well. And you know what are the uncertainties, what are the unknowns, and the known unknowns and unknown unknowns, and get prepared for that. So that is always possible to do through a process in research. Because in research, sometimes we think that we are going to do something, but we may end up getting something wonderful in another direction. So that is extremely important. When I was in Kharagpur, one of the professors told, as research students, you will have a lot of reasons to feel depressed. At that time, you take a long stroll in the campus. There is an inner circle and outer circle. Outer circle will take 1 hour. But at the end of that, you will feel refreshed. This depression comes from the failures. There are several reasons which I don't have to explain to you, and a research scholar will get depressed. But whenever a failure comes, think that that is the next step for your success. This is what we learned from our younger days, and this is what we practice. But basically what is required is the resilience to come out of that failure and to perform better and to increase the fire in your belly because of that failure. You may come up with a wonderful idea and you will feel somebody else has already published that and you have a problem, you have to start from zero again. These are all part of the life. You will have to go through that, and this is something which you have to learn and improve your inner strength for doing that. If you ask any research scholar, anybody who has gone through, they will all have these tales to tell you. So this is something which any research scholar should be worrying about. Finally, when you do the research, what is it going to give to the people in the country? How your idea is going to get transformed into a product, a service that can make an impact. Why everybody talks about Professor Jhunjhunwala of this institute? Whenever you talk about WLL, it is Jhunjhunwala. That is something from research converted into a major idea, a major product. You can make an impact. Your impact is on one side through the publications which are recognized nationally, internationally, quoted by people of your level and the next generation. Second one is the ideas that come out of it, which can then get into what you call the translational research, transfer as products and services, etc., etc. You can make a difference. And if you look at the great industrialists of the world today, they have come with new bright ideas which have become universal in nature later. So think big. Look at issues which are there with a larger canvas. Try to attack those, at least one element of it, knowing well what is the whole. Then you will find a place for you in the future development process of the country, in a place in the international scene. Depth is important, but understanding the breadth is also essential. The context in which the work that you are doing is going to be relevant is extremely important. And always strive for excellence. And when you look at your work of yesterday, certainly today you should feel that you could have done a better job. And that is the time when you feel you are improving yourself. These 2 or 3 years that you are spending here for research is only a beginning. Your guide is just telling you how to conduct research. But later you should become a guide of researchers and future leaders. Then you can come and sit in platform like this and also tell to the world that IIT Madras has produced some of the best gems for this world. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We learned a very good lesson from this. Come what may, do not quit and strive for excellence. It really helped all our researchers, and we will heartily imbibe it to our practice. We are eagerly waiting for your separate session at 12 noon regarding the Mars orbital mission. Thank you, sir.
Now, I request our guest of honor, Professor Partha Pratim Chakrabarti, Director IIT Kharagpur, to please address the gathering. Please, sir.
Dr. Radhakrishnan, Professor Ramamurthy, Professor Das, Professor Kimbavi, Professor Koil Pillai. To all of you, firstly, I don't know whether Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthy is part of this intrigue, but Professor Das always has decided to take me by surprise. Firstly, he says that you will have to give a talk, and don't worry, it can be a simple talk. He did not tell me Dr. Radhakrishnan is coming. So first thing he did was that, to make sure. So now I have prepared one talk, not brought my laptop, and don't know what to do. And after that is the Mars orbiter mission. So all of you can come at 12 o'clock. 11 o'clock we can have some chat in the canteen. Secondly, he did not put my name there to speak, so I was relaxing, thinking of other things. And then somebody calls me up to speak. So regarding research scholars, I was having a meeting with some of my co-research team from Kharagpur here, Sivramamurthy in computer science, B.S. Murthy in metallurgy, we all did research together. And we continue to be research scholars at heart because, though we are dressed in formals and we are serious when we address all of you, but when we are together, we are just like you, We talk just like you, and so there is no difference actually. And that is what has survived within us. That urge to do research, to constantly keep on thinking 10 new ideas a day, 9 or 10 of them all will be wrong, doesn't matter. And just keep thinking. And the second thing is, once you're hitched onto an idea, pursue it to the end, Just don't leave it halfway. Relentlessly pursue it till the end. Till you reach the stage where you realize that this is the limit of your capability. Then you try to find out, as Dr. Radhakrishnan said, somebody you think knows more than you. And if you have really pursued it till the end, you will realize that person does not know more than you. You have pursued it till the end. Then you look for people like you. And then you will say 2 plus 2 is 22. Then new ideas will come. And we will all work together to be able to achieve something for success. And therefore, it is very important to be very serious as well as not take load, Be casual, work hard, work simply, and just keep on trying. And things will turn out to be good. And I was just having a breakfast in the morning, and there we were just discussing our research days and reliving it. That research remains in our heart. Research scholar is not executive style. Morning 10 to 12 research, 12 to 1 meeting the guide, then trying to figure out what I will do for my job, and then hunger strike for 2 hours, all this research is always research. Always keep on thinking, what are you doing, what are you doing, what am I doing? So I think this is something that is, that childlike quality of a research scholar, please try to awaken in you and do not lose it all your life. That is something which an institution like IIT and IIT Madras will give you. This is an institution where this little bit of learning that will gather will take you far, far away. And as you can see, this heart of the IITian who has done research is transforming the country. And as Dr. Radhakrishnan said, we look forward to you to transform the world. And we will be the most happiest people to see great things coming out of you. I wish you all the luck, and then you'll have to bear with me for another lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. We now call upon Professor Ajit Kembhavi, our special guest, Director Ayuka, to please address the gathering.
Professor Ramurthy, Professor Radhakrishnan, all the other senior professors on the dais and in the audience, and research scholars. I was asked to come here for the Research Scholars Day. I was not clear about what would happen then. From time to time, I get invited to various IIT festivals to give talks. And I thought it was like that. What I do is that when I get an invitation, first I don't answer it. Okay, because that's the first barrier you put it in. And at which point, my friend Sriram Kumar phoned me up and said, what's all this going on? Why are you not answering your email? Okay. So I said that I generally do that as a barrier. And if I get a request a second time, then I immediately phone them up and talk to them to find that they are serious. But here, Sriram did that job for me. Now, it's not really clear to me what I'm supposed to be doing here for two reasons. One is the scale, the difference in scale. You have been talking about 2,200 people doing research here on the campus. On my campus, the number is 22. Okay. So you should divide by 100. I recently was trying to compile our history over 25 years because we need to present it to somebody. And then with great difficulty, I counted about 80 people who had obtained a PhD over the last 25 years. So we are really talking of small numbers there. And so when I'm confronted by these large numbers, I become completely awestruck. It's a totally different system. You see that we have got something called a conformal transformation in physics and mathematics, okay, where you just take a system and make it bigger, right, or make it smaller and extend it in various ways. And the question is whether the system will then behave in the same way, whether it is whether the system is invariant under conformal transformations. Okay, so here I take 22 and scale it up by factor 100 and get 2200. Certainly the system is not invariant. Because of the breadth, because of the depth, because of the differences in the kind of research which is being done. And secondly, if there's a hunger strike by 22 people, it's quite different from hunger strike by 2,200 people. Okay. So the system is not invariant under conformal transformations. Okay, then there is a question of what kind of research that we do. I was told that I'm representing the basic sciences. So ours, astronomy, is indeed a very basic science. It was the first science that people got attracted to, simply because you can see the stars in the sky, right? So the objects of your research are already seen clearly by you. Of course, we also work on galaxies which are less visible, but that's a matter of detail. But if you want to do research on subatomic particles, you can't go and show it to somebody and say that, look, this is a Higgs boson. Okay, so I'm doing research. I can show you things in the sky. It's really the most basic of sciences. And some may say that it's the most useless of sciences. Okay, so one proof of the lack of application or uselessness, at least the perceived uselessness, is the fact that every bit of literature ever published in astronomy is available free of charge. Okay? I mean, you just have to, something which appears in Astrophysical Journal really becomes available in 2 years' time free of charge. But on the other hand, there's the archive which gives you a preprint of the paper. So a long time ago, I was a research student in the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. At that time, there was a slightly crazy and whimsical mathematician. You can say that that is not the quality which you attach to just one mathematician. The world is like that. Okay, but you see that what Doraiswamy used to do on occasion was he used to take a stack of papers, research papers on mathematics, and go and stand outside Churchgate station and distribute them to passers-by. And when people are passing by, they used to think it's just advertisement. And they used to look at it and they saw all these crazy symbols. They used to shudder and throw it away. Okay. Right, so, but on the other hand, the fact that basic research still has relevance, it means something. You only have to look at the big projects which are now recently being approved in the country. I mean, Dr. Radhakrishnan will be talking about the Mars mission, but some of the important missions which are going to be sent up by ISRO, one is AstroSat, okay, which is the first satellite which is completely devoted to astronomy in the country. It's been in the making for a very long time, but all the instruments are ready. They have been delivered to ISRO. They are being integrated, and AstroSat hopefully will be launched within a few months' time. And it will be carrying out research on objects in the sky which are very far away, X-ray binary systems, multi-wavelength astronomy, which is completely pure research. Similarly, there is the Aditya 1 mission, which was going to be a small, not very ambitious mission to be sent up. But then later on it was decided that it is going to be sent very far. It will sit at the first Lagrangian point, and it is going to be carrying out fundamental research on the sun. Then there is a 30-meter telescope, which has recently been approved by the government, which is an international collaboration. The cost of the telescope will be $1.5 billion, and India is going to be spending 10% of that. But most of the money is going to be spent in the country in actually making things here, hardware as well as the software. Then there's a LIGO gravitational wave detector, which is just awaiting final clearance. So you see that the government and the system is willing to spend a great deal of money and time and energy and opportunities on what we call fundamental research, the very basic kind of research. And that is because people believe that this kind of research also has its importance. It is very exciting, it is very elevating in some way. When we tell people that we work on black holes, people immediately become interested. But on the other hand, there is also some application, something which comes out of it, because when we invest so much money. Now, I should also give you one more example of people who believe that fundamental research is very important, is South Africa. Now, South Africa, as you know, went through a regime of apartheid, and about 20 years ago came out of it. So at that time, there was a fairly good research going on in South Africa. There's the South African Astronomical Observatory, which has existed for more than 150 years. But then they're distributed through the university system, which was not, which as you know, had all kinds of problems. Some people could go to one kind of university, some people to the other. There were a lot of people of Indian origin who were carrying out research on general relativity and black holes and very basic areas like that. They happened to meet some of us. We quickly became friends, and that led to a very warm relationship between the scientific communities of the two countries. South Africa has one of the biggest optical telescopes in the world, which is called the Southern African Large Telescope, which has an aperture of 11 meters. And India has taken a partnership in that. So we are partners, we contribute to the telescope, and we get time on it. Now South Africa, where there are, as you know, very severe problems of inequality. Okay, so there are problems where there are people who are very well-to-do, people who carry out very good research, very good businesses, and people who are not so well-to-do and who are deprived, who don't even have basic education. Now South Africa has become a hotbed for astronomy. There's not only the SALT telescope there, but one of the greatest telescopes coming up now, the Square Kilometre Array, is going to be located half in South Africa and half in Australia. So why South Africa? Because South Africa has very large desert areas and which are free of electronic noise, free of all kinds of light, everything, which are very important for telescopes. But the fact is that the South African government is spending a great deal of money on fundamental research, because the South African government realizes that fundamental research in general and astronomy in particular can drive not only the intellectual life of the country, but can even drive the economy. Okay, so that is the whole idea, is that because you've got very big projects, so there are a lot of very clever people coming into the country, there are a lot of technology flowing into the country, and the expectation is that this will elevate not only pure science, but also applied sciences and the economy itself. So you see that this is a little bit of risk taking. If the same money would have gone into factories, then you would have seen the results in 5 years. Here the results may take 50 years or 100 years to come. But you see that the Greeks invested a great deal of time and resources on fundamental research 2,500 years ago. Okay, and that has paid off very well. I mean, the whole of the Western civilization basically came out of those 100 or 200 years of intellectual development which took place in Greece 2,500 years ago. So we also attached a great deal of significance during our history to basic research. And people carried out this research in the most difficult of circumstances. I mean, if you look at one of the ancient manuscripts where you find people like Aryabhata or Bhaskara had written their theorems, and it is impossible for us even to hope to read the script. But now you can imagine somebody coming in from Arabia or from China, staying here, in the alien land, eating the alien food, and trying to decipher the alien language so that they could understand what is the meaning of zero or what is the meaning of the decimal system, or fact that the earth went round the sun. So you see that people have spent a great deal of energy carrying out research. We are doing that even now, and we must hope to be able to do that. And an environment like the IIT, where there are hundreds and thousands of people doing research in tens of different areas, I believe are the most fertile grounds for producing really great work. There are the IITs. I had occasion just a couple of weeks ago to go to an ICER for a review, ICER Calcutta, and there again there was this, what we would call the law of large numbers, many people doing research in relatively difficult circumstances. The fact that the government has set up all these ICERs, it is increasing the number of IITs and in general making it possible for people to carry out excellent work, shows that we attach a great deal of importance to it. So I probably will have a little bit of chance to elaborate on some of the things that I have said later on. I will not wish to say anything more. But I am very glad that you are carrying out functions like this. I wish you all the best, and I leave with the hope and expectation that you do wonderfully well in research. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your wonderful insights on various experiences. I would like to now call upon Masheti Ravi Babu, Research Affairs Secretary, to please present a vote of thanks.
Good morning. Greeting to one and all gathering here. It is a privilege and pleasure to deliver a vote of thanks for this Research Scholars Day, 3rd edition, 2015. First of all, we, RSG team, is thankful to Dean Academic Research, Professor Sarit Kumar Das, for his constant motivation and support to organize this event. Also, I thank our Director, IIT Madras, Professor Bhaskar Ramurthy, for his gracious presence. Next, I would like to express my gratitude towards Dr. Radhakrishnan, ex-chairman ISRO, for the inspiring address. Sir, you made each of us proud to the Mangalyaan with the success of Mars orbit mission. Thank you, sir. Now I would like to express my sincere thanks to our guest of honor, Partha Pratim Chakravarti, Director, IIT Kharagpur, and special guest Ajit K. Kembavi, for addressing our research scholars and gathering here. And a special thanks to our PhD counselor, Manikandan, and for his efforts to make this event possible. And finally, I thank all my dear friends for attending this function. Wish you all a pleasant day.